I had a recent discussion on one of my videos with someone, and I was just chit-chatting about um, blind buys. You know, looking at my collection and what I get, majority of the movies are movies that I haven't seen before. Blind buys. The person I was talking to likes to buy movies that he knows he loves, wants to have in his collection, and that is another um, identifier of a collector. You know, these two kind of camps that you fall into. Now, as I've kind of grown up and gotten older and experienced more, I have found myself a lot more excited by blind buying a movie than getting something that I've seen before. Not to say that I don't buy things I haven't seen before. I've got lots of things in my collection that are movies that I just utterly adore. Hell, I've got several versions of movies that I love because I keep buying every iteration of them. But I find myself being thoroughly excited by the prospect of blind buys. Now, I don't know if these are honestly 100% blind buys, because sometimes I do a little research. I check out a trailer, I read up a little bit about the movie. I have a rough understanding of what it's going to be, and my expectations are set accordingly. But there is some times where I just know absolutely nothing about a movie, and that's really exciting for me. I can't imagine constantly just buying movies that I had already seen, that I knew most of what happened in them, that I just, there wasn't going to have any revelations or excitement in discovering something. And the one thing I really love is the discovering of different things. As I've kind of moved on in years, I've discovered different subgenres of things that I never knew really were as pertinent as they are. One of the biggest ones for me is the Italian genre films, exploitation, horror. Those kind of things that came out in the mid-60s up until the mid-90s. That genre film is something that I deeply love, and I just kind of stumbled across it. And that's when you start to go down rabbit holes of just grabbing everything and anything until you realise that you're a fan of a subgenre, a fan of an actor or a director. You know, you stumble across one Kurosawa movie out the blue and you're like, whoa, what the heck is this? I want more. You don't need to know anything else other than that name is on it, and you want to consume more and more of these movies. Blind buys are for me, what makes it so exciting to be a collector. You know, if I was just buying movies that I'd always seen, I don't think it would be as rejuvenating, as exciting as it is. You know, there is millions upon millions of movies out there, and as we move in to the digital age, or as we're currently in it, and we're getting movies made really cheaply by lots of people, I find that the quality has severely dipped, and very rarely do I stumble across movies currently that I am utterly wowed by. But I can quite easily just buy a bunch of movies from a company, throw them on, and find things that I utterly love. Take for instance my recent 6 pickups from the Indicator sale. I knew a couple of things about a couple of the movies. Some I only knew about the star. There was one movie in amongst there that I knew absolutely nothing about. Watermelon Man turned out to be my favourite movie of the bunch. A movie I utterly loved, one I may not have picked up if it wasn't for Indicator putting it out. You know, when you, along with the blind buys, I start to find an affinity for certain companies, or there's the labels or certain sub-labels within the company that put out, that I know I'm going to have some kind of affinity to that movie. Take for instance 88 Films. They have the Italian collection, the Slasher collection, the Asia collection. These are all wonderful collections, but if I buy a movie from one of those sets, I roughly know what I'm going to get. You know, Slasher, you kind of know. Italian movies, a little bit more up and down because you can get all kinds of subgenres within that. But if I buy an Italian collection movie, I know 9 times out of 10 I'm going to love it. And that's something I've discovered about myself throughout the years as well. I'm a film lover, not a film hater. I try to look for the best in any kind of film. I enjoy most things. Very rarely do I ever dislike movies out and out. It does happen, and as it's my channel, my YouTube channel, most of the time I won't even bother talking about them, because why waste that kind of energy? I want to just talk about things that I like more than anything. And because I am a film lover, most of the times I find something redeeming within these movies that makes me happy to have discovered them. Blind Buy is one of these things that you're either into or you're not, and a lot of people either fully understand or don't understand, and I wanted to kind of give an opinion of to why I find it so exciting. It's the discovery factor. It's putting on something you know very little about, if anything at all, and it just wows you. You're amazed that you've never heard of this movie. It's stunning, visually stylistic. It has a story that resonates. Everything about it just ticks every box that you have, and you've just found a new favourite movie that if I hadn't taken the chance, I would never have discovered. My blind buys can be influenced quite a lot by labels, you know, what they put out. I won't buy everything, but, well, apart from Masters of Cinema, but I will look at the movie and think, is that something I'm quite interested in? There are certain sub-labels like the Italian collection. I'm always going to buy those kind of movies. I take recommendations from people on the channel watching. You know, if I review a movie like Amok that went up last night, I got several reviews for other type of Italian movies. Some I had seen, a couple I hadn't. They're now on my list because if they're referenced in the same breath as that movie, I want to go and check it out. It's a movie that I want to discover. Film fans, I think we need to kind of grow and experience new things. And I know that the cost of blind buys can be a little bit expensive if it's something you don't know you're going to love. And in that case, you need to be a little bit more educated about your purchases and be careful about it. But for me, it's the excitement. It's the thrill of throwing something on. It's like when I used to go to the cinema and I didn't know anything about the movies. I used to love that little pause just before the movie started, where everything went black in the theatre and you had countless possibilities. That small moment where you're about to be transported into some kind of story you don't know, in a place you don't know, and it could just take your breath away. The limitless possibilities in that moment is an absolute thrill, and you get that when you put a disc on just before it starts. You get that little rush of, this could take me anywhere, make me feel any kind of emotion. This could thrill me, terrify me, tear my soul apart, have me down in tears or in pure adulation watching these kind of things. It's the thrill of what could come, and when you finish a movie that you've really enjoyed, that satisfying nature of going, wow, I didn't know anything about this, I discovered it, I can't wait to do a video and shout out to the rest of the world and realise that most people have already seen it and I'm last to it. Blind buys for me are something that is always going to continue for me. It's my real thrill as a collector and something that I am really excited about. I would love to know your thoughts on blind buys. Is it something you do a lot? When you do a blind buy, is it because of you have a reputation and a level of trust with a label that makes you get it? Or is it just something that you're mildly interested in? Have you ever bought a movie that you've didn't know anything about, not even too sure why you picked it up, but found a masterpiece of a movie? And because I like recommendations, why don't you just throw me in a title of something that nobody ever talks about, an absolute amazing movie that you love, might not be everybody else, but something that you love that you never hear anybody talking about. I want some more discoveries. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Man v Film.